create, build your dream, to achieve your goals, to have happiness, wealth, and success in your life. It was just this block that I had, right, throughout all these years. Even though I had understood the science side of things, even though I understood the biology, the psychology, I understood what I went through, but I hadn't healed from it. Time to rise. In everything you do, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home dad, in a career, an entrepreneur, make a conscious effort to raise the bar. I'm Raul Lopez Jr. Enjoy the day. Hey.
All right, that's our little intro video there. Let's see if you guys raise your hands. How many people here are already speakers? Anybody speaking already? Live on stage and events? Super cool. How many people do webinars and have sold on webinars, sold packages, made some money on webinars? Anybody here? All right, well, we're teaching the entire process from doing a webinar just like this, inviting people, yes, thank you, to getting live on stage. Now, anybody who is interested in speaking, becoming an author, speaker, or a coach, I always tell people the same thing. I said, right now, if you are speaking on stage, whatever you're speaking about, it should be in a book, right? Or vice versa. If you're in a book right now, if you've written a book, whatever is in that book, you should be teaching on a stage. And what happens is when you're have a book and you're speaking on stage, you're building credibility and you're building authority, and people are going to want to come and work with you, and that creates the coaching programs or whatever industry that you're in, right? We get a lot of people who like sell insurance, real estate agents, mortgage agents, people who are in the people business. I always say you should be speaking and sharing your message on stage. It's very important, and in books. It's like I mentioned, building the credibility, building the authority, getting found, right? Personal branding, getting found is very important. I always ask also, if you Googled your name right now, what would come up? Right? Would anything come up? And I teach people how to brand themselves organically. Like if you Googled my name, Raul Lopez Jr., Jr., Raul Lopez Jr., you'd see everything that I do. If you Google Tag Talks, you'd see everything that we do at Tag Talks, the different events we do, the fun we have, the trainings we do, and everything else. So it's very important that you're found and seen as an expert. It's very important that if you want to become a coach, or you just want to be seen as an expert in your specific industry, it doesn't matter what you do. Like I mentioned, I mean, you could be a car rental company. You could just have your book right now and want to get your book out there. People need to be able to find you, right? And I always mention, for example, if you got an email from, I don't know, Microsoft or Hertz Car Rental, right? A lot of times we don't even open those emails because we just figure they're spam, right? But if you get an email from somebody and it's their name, then we're more likely to open it and look at it, right? So that's personal branding, the personal branding part. So I'm just giving you little tiny tips and tools here. But that's more about personal branding, right? People want to know and create and connect with you. So we teach a lot how, obviously, to put your talk together and speak from stage. My thing is personal message, your personal message, right? Heal the boy and the man will appear. It's my personal story. But guess what? After I started sharing my personal story and connecting with people emotionally, right? Connecting with their emotional pain, connecting with them in a way that they trust, know, like, and trust, then they want to do the same thing. I started in this business not as I want to be a speaker. I'm going to go be a speaker. I'm going to go be a coach, and I'm going to go be an author. How I really started this business, and I'm going to start from the beginning a little bit, and I'll tell you my story in as short as I can. It's very hard. I usually tell my story over an hour, and I want to keep this webinar to 45 minutes or so. But how I started sharing my story is when I started to figure things out about myself, right? The rough life that I lived, and I will share it with you in a minute. Then I wanted to go help other people with what I learned, right? So I started volunteering in like juvenile hall and in prisons and at churches and stuff, and I would just share my story. And I put a little like program together for, especially for the kids in juvenile hall. When I would go in there, I'd share my story, and then I'd go through a few exercises with them. And one day somebody came up behind me who worked at the juvenile center, and they said, "Hey, how much do you get paid to do this?" And I said, "I don't get paid to do this." I said, "I'm a volunteer. I want to help these kids not live the life that I'd lived, right? I want to help them not get incarcerated, to stop getting incarcerated, to not be so lost in their mind and in their bodies, not be roaming the streets and gangs and things like that." And the guy said, "You can get paid to do this." And I said, "No," I said, "I didn't know that." And he said, "What did he tell me?" He said, The only reason you're not getting paid is because you haven't asked. It's because you haven't asked, right? And I thought at first, this was me, my heart in the beginning, and it still is. Like obviously, I don't charge kids in juvenile hall. I don't charge churches and things like that to go help and serve. But my thought was, I don't want to. How can I ask people to pay me when I just want to help them? When I want to change their lives? When it was a God-given burden, a welcomed God-given burden for me to help people? How can I ask them to pay me? But what I realized is with all the time that I was spending in juvenile hall and all the people that were calling me to come and share at their schools and all these different things, I couldn't spread myself out that thin. I was like, I wanted to go help. Yes, 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 yes. I wasn't asking for any money, but I couldn't get out there as much as I wanted to. So as I looked into this industry, author, speaker, coaching, and realized that the message that I have is not only healing for me to share it, but healing for others. I also learned that people will pay me. People will pay you to hear your story and the wisdom that you gained from your story. I tell people every day, all of my clients on a regular basis, every time I'm on a stage, I tell people all the time, your wisdom is not common knowledge. Your wisdom comes from what you've survived, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Your wisdom comes from what you've survived. The difference in common knowledge, right? I mean, I could name a few things here and we'd all go, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that, right? But I can tell you things about my life and things I've survived, and you'd go, wow, I didn't know that. It might be a breakthrough for you, right? And you could do the same to me. You could tell me something that you've experienced that I never have, and I'd go, wow, I didn't know that. And I didn't know you can go get through it that way, right? You've survived every hard time you've ever had. You're sitting here right now watching this, so you've survived it. You may be in a hard time right now, right? And there's thousands, millions of other people in hard times right now. But guess what? Those people, a lot of those people are going through a hard time that you've already survived. So you have wisdom to share with them. And guess what? You can volunteer. Great. Nothing wrong with that. But you can also, they'll pay you, right? I get on one-on-one calls all the time, and I give as much as I can in that 30-minute and that 45-minute consultation. And if they want to come back and they want to work on a regular basis because I have the wisdom for them, I relate to them, they pay me for it, and I get paid very well for the one-on-ones. I don't do as much one-on-one anymore. I do a lot of group. But when people really need some life-changing understanding, psychology, neuroscience, God, spirit, all of these things I've learned and gained the wisdom from, they want that. They're seeking that. You have that also. You have a story and you have something to give the world. Okay. I'm gonna go into my story just really shortly. And like I said, it's in this book, and this title says it: Heal the boy and the man will appear. I was broken as a very young child, based on a divorce. Okay. From the age of born to age 7, I lived with my mother and father, and I had siblings. My mother came to the marriage with 2 kids. My father came to the marriage with 1, and then together they had me. So we were a family of his, hers, and ours. I was the youngest of all. I loved my siblings. I loved my family, and I was very close with my father, like this. I was very close with my father. The way I express it is like the sun above the earth. The earth needs the sun, right? What happens if the sun disappears? The earth is no longer, right? That was my relationship with my father. We played every day. I went with him everywhere he went. We spent so much time together on a regular basis. He was just my world, my complete world. One day my mother comes home and she says, son, get in the car. We're going to go for a ride. By the way, I grew up in San Jose, California. I don't know if any of you guys know California area. Now San Jose is known as Silicon Valley. When I was growing up, it was orchards and fields, cherries, apricots, walnuts. I mean, it was just an amazing place. Lots of land everywhere, lots of farmland. And today there's not a piece of land this big in Silicon Valley now. But growing up there, it was a small town back then. And all of my family lived around us. On my dad's side, on my mom's side, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, our grandparents, everybody lived around us. So when my mom told me to come and get in the car, we're going to go for a ride, I didn't think it was a big deal. I just thought, oh, we're going to go visit grandma, aunties, we're going to go visit somebody. So I get in the car with 2 of my siblings, my mother's, the ones she brought to the marriage. And next thing I know, we're headed to a plane. We're getting on a plane. And I remember seeing the big plane. I'm a little guy. I'm 7 years old. Plane was cool. We ended up going to Alaska. So on the side of Alaskan Airlines, there's a big Eskimo on there. And I was looking at the picture and big giant airplane. I thought it was cool. Wasn't thinking too much about what was going on, except the excitement of jumping on this plane. We flew to Alaska from California. At that age, we might as well have went to another country. You know, I didn't know what states were. I didn't know what countries were none of that, but it seemed forever for a 7-year-old kid. Got to Alaska, full of snow. It was fun. We went into this apartment and we got settled and we went to sleep and we got up in the morning. And I looked around and I looked at my mom and I looked up at my mom and I said, "Hey, where's my daddy?" And she looked down at me and she said, "Don't worry about your daddy. You're not going to see him again." And it changed the directory of my entire life, the directory of my life. We're happy young kids, right? You have kids here, you have grandkids here. Kids are beautiful light from above. They're beautiful light. Their joy, their happiness, their fun. They could care less about anything except playing. They tell the truth, right? Sometimes they say things they shouldn't say, but because they're just true love and light. And that day, that ended for me. I went from this loving, happy child to, what do you mean I'm not going to see my father again? And it was something that I couldn't even comprehend. So when things happen that we can't comprehend, and I obviously didn't know this then, but when things happen that we can't comprehend, is our mind, our psychology shifts, our neuroscience shifts. All these things are triggering in our brains, right? All these emotions, sadness, confusion, brokenness, just the rage, all of these emotions were triggering, right? And when our emotions trigger, they're actually chemicals triggering in our brain, and they can make us physically sick. They can make us shake, anxiety. There's a ton of things that happen based on our emotions. And we'll get into controlling our emotions because we can, right? The subtitle of my book is Learn the Importance of Understanding and Expressing Your Emotions. But at the age of 7, we don't know how to express our emotions. We don't know what's going on. And you know, have you heard the term energy in motion? Emotions, energy in motion. So emotions are an energy. Okay. And I always express it as, the best way is if you're watching your favorite sports team, or you're watching your child or your grandchild playing a sports and they score, you celebrate. Yeah, you know, you get happy and you celebrate. And because it's an energy, the joy, the happiness, the excitement, you celebrate. You don't think that you're celebrating, you don't think about it, but it's a huge energy that has to come out because you're excited. If your favorite team scored, you would not just sit there. It'd be almost impossible to sit there like this. They scored and you get excited. It's an energy, an emotion, emotion, energy, emotion. The sad thing is, the hard thing is that we don't know and we don't learn growing up, is that when we get offended by something, right? Something true, with value, if we get offended, if we get hurt, if somebody does something to us, that negative energy, we hold it in most of the time. We go, oh man, that girl, that guy, I'm like, they pissed me off or whatever it is. And we hold it in, right? It's still an energy. So what happens when you compress an energy for too long? It'll explode at some point. You ever see people quick to anger? Quick, boom, I'm pissed off, driving down the street and you just pass them. You don't even got to cut them off. You just pass them, they get all pissed off and they're yelling and screaming and cussing at you. It's because they're up to here with that they're holding in that energy. They're filled. And as soon as anything little happens, they get angry just like that. They're quick to anger because they're carrying all of this darkness, all of this negative energy inside them. So we have to learn to express our emotions. I didn't know how. I didn't even know what emotions were when I was a kid. And a lot of adults don't to this day. And what I'm talking to you about really is my passion, what I love to help people with, because I've experienced it, right? You've experienced things in your life and people need to learn from them. They need your wisdom. They need your guidance. You've experienced things. And there are people experiencing those things right now that don't have any idea how to come through them. Your message, your story can change people's lives. You need to believe that. A lot of my clients that I work with, when we first come on and we start working with them, they go, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Why does anybody want to know what happened to me? Right? Because it's happening to somebody else right now and they need to know how to come through it. That's the important thing that you need to remember. So carrying all this darkness, being confused, not knowing how to express my emotions, that energy as a child, it shifted me, right? And I went numb. And I would go to school every day and I would cry. I would cry because I didn't know how to express these emotions. I didn't know what was going on. And I would cry. And I remember the way the school was set up, there's like this long chain link fence and with a little opening. And then you had to walk through the entire playground to get to the building, to the school. And walking past the playground every day, I became the crybaby, right? I would cry, I'd be numb. I'd even sit there in school. I wouldn't even do any schoolwork. Like I lost my childhood. I lost who I was. And I would just sit there. And between the kids picking on me And me not even having any kind of focus in the classroom, the teachers would call my mom in and say, hey, there's something wrong with your son. What's going on? She explained to him the situation, and they understood, but they were like, something's wrong with this boy. you need to get him some help. My mother did the best she could. I love my mother to death. Her and I are very close to this day. I'll explain to you why, these things happened in a little bit. But she didn't know how. She didn't understand how to express her emotions. She didn't know how important they were. My youngest client, it was 9 years old, has been 9 years old. And my oldest client, he was 89 years old. And they had the same exact problem. They didn't know how to express their emotions, right? I would expect the young boy not to know how to express his emotions, because nobody teaches us. A lot of adults don't know how. Nobody teaches us to actually speak what's happening and how we feel instead of holding it in, right? 89-year-old guy lived his whole life like that. I told my story to him in a group one time, and he came and he pulled me aside. He's like, oh my God, I never knew that. People need to hear what you have. People need your wisdom. People need your wisdom. So I became numb. These kids would laugh at me every day. And then I learned as I got older that when I was 7 years old, that my heart hardened. Driving up to school, getting out of the car, crying, not wanting to go into school, walking through that little opening in the gate. It was like a gauntlet for me. As soon as I'd walk through the gate, kids would start to make fun of me. And it's sad, kids, I don't blame them, but kids can be fun. They're looking for somebody to pick on or whatever it is. And, if you're the oddball, they're going to pick on you. And that was a gauntlet that I would do daily. But when this one day I walked through this chain link fence and I look at these kids, and something in me just shifted again. And I remember thinking to myself at the age of 7, I'm never going to cry again. And nobody's ever going to laugh at me again. And from that day, the age of 7, I would fight with rage that I didn't even know I had. And it was the buildup of all this confusion inside of me. I would fight. I mean, I'm talking about from the age of 7 all the way until I was probably like 26 years old. If somebody looked at me for more than 2 seconds, subconsciously, I thought they were going to laugh at me or make fun of me. I would attack them. Right. It was just this alter ego that I created. Okay. And I'll get more into that in just a second. So no one's going to laugh at me, and I'm never going to cry. And my life went on that way. Okay. My childhood ended. I didn't even want to play with toys anymore. We came home. We came back from Alaska. I don't even honestly know the amount of time. It was less than a year, but we came back from Alaska. I got to see my father, but my mother saw how broken I was. I got to see him, but then over the years, I realized why she had left him. And he had some drug addiction, some alcohol addictions. He was doing a lot of things that a 7-year-old son doesn't know. I just knew I loved my daddy. But he was doing, looking back, I started to learn, like, yeah, he was with me at home every day, right? So he didn't work, and this is back in the 70s. He had funny cigarettes back then, like marijuana and things that are extremely illegal. Now it's more common. But he did a lot of things he shouldn't have been doing. And my mother was trying to shift from that lifestyle. And the only way she knew to get away from him was to just take us and go. She didn't understand that it would change my life the way it did. It would change the directive of my life the way that it did. So I got to see him. I learned his lifestyle. He hardly came around, and it went from me being taken from him to him abandoning me. So now I have these more confusion, right? These more misunderstandings, these more things I don't understand as a young child. And it just continued to take me on this path. And I go like this because this is our path. We have a path. It's joy, it's love, it's God, and we get off path. And when I got off that path, by the time I was 9 years old, I was doing drugs. By the time I was 13, I conceived my first child. My boy, he's big, he's grown man now. Time I was 13, my girlfriend and I at the time, I had my first child. At 14, I got incarcerated for the first time. From 14 to 24, right before I turned 25, I was incarcerated for the majority of those 10 years. By the age of 15, I was made a ward of the court. So they took me from my mother. They said, you can't handle this kid. And for them to take you and make you a ward of the court, they got to title you. Like there has to be a reason. So they titled me in this county that I was growing up in as a menace to society, right? I don't know if you guys seen that movie, you've heard that term, but that's a real term the court uses. They titled me as a menace to society. I'm this young teenager sitting there, lost, confused, not really understanding life or why I was doing the things that I did, why I acted the way that I acted, why I felt the way that I felt. and they're telling me you're a menace to society, and they're just hammering me, and they take me from my mother. And the county now owns me, right? They have whatever I'm doing, they have control. My mother no longer has control. So that I think by the age of 16, I have paperwork. They registered me as an alcoholic, just all of these things at such a young age. And I was just either in a facility of some sort of facility or on the streets. And I was just lost in gangs on the streets and incarcerated in the streets, incarcerated. Ended up in San Quentin prison and got out of San Quentin prison, like I said, just right before I turned 25. During those 10 years of being incarcerated on the streets, I had those three questions I just mentioned. Why do I do what I do? I did a lot of dumb things. Why do I act the way that I act? I acted like I was this cool guy, but inside I was just broken, right? And then why do I feel the way that I feel was the most important one, because I didn't know how I felt. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew I had this weird life of cool. I was being cool. I was in these gangs. I did a lot of dumb stuff. And when you're young, people give you respect for that type of stuff, so it encourages it, right? When we're young. And that's, I always say it's like a subculture, a gang neighborhoods. It's a subculture, sadly. Prison, the prison lifestyle, it's a subculture because there are beliefs that we have, that we carry outside of that culture sometimes, but it doesn't fit. That's why there's so many problems, right? I'll give you a quick example. I have some nieces. They're older now, but when they were younger, who continued to live in that gang lifestyle in those neighborhoods, and they would never leave their neighborhood, right? You are who you hang around, right? The 5 people you hang around the most is who you become in all ways, financially, mentally, physically, everything. The 5 people you hang around is who we are. And I never used to leave my neighborhood, nor did my nieces that I just mentioned. And I remember I wanted to pull them out. I was like, I got to get these kids out of here. I want them to see more in life. Cause by this time I have my nice homes and cars, and I just have a different lifestyle after I changed my life. And so I said, I want to get these kids and my nieces and get them out and show them what's going on, that there's more than that little neighborhood that they live in. And I picked them up and I'm driving down the freeway, bringing them over to where I live. And I go, hey, girls, do you guys want to stop at Starbucks? And my niece goes, what's Starbucks? and I was shocked. And it just reminded me of the subcultures that we live in, and that when we're stuck in these neighborhoods, it's all we know. All we know is is the circle that we're in. It's amazing to me, and I'm guessing it's amazing to you. How can somebody not know what Starbucks is? I mean, it's on every corner, literally. But guess what? In some of these old, low-income neighborhoods, there's no Starbucks. And they didn't know what it was. And it just made me think and continued to grow. And it's like, man, these kids are they're stuck and they don't know what's going on. So those 3 questions that I mentioned: why do I do what I do? Why do I act the way that I act? And why do I feel the way that I feel? When I got out of prison, I paroled back to San Jose. You got to parole back to where you committed your crime from. And but I knew that if I stayed there, my life wouldn't change, right? We have to get out of the paradigm that we're in, right? We're stuck in paradigms. It doesn't have to be bad, but we're in paradigms, right? And we want to grow in any area, life, business, relationships, whatever it is, we got to step out of that paradigm. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people want to be speakers. We're here on talking about speaking and authoring and coaching. A lot of people want to do things, but they're in their paradigm and it's uncomfortable outside of that paradigm. The toughest thing about a paradigm is that we don't know that we're in one. Right? We don't know that we're in these paradigms. We're just thinking life is okay. This is what I do. This is all I know. There's so much more than what we are living right now. But we got to get out of it. We got to get to that uncomfortable, right? What they call the comfort zone. We got to get out of that comfort zone. So I knew the neighborhoods that I grew up in, if I stayed there, I would end up right back where I was at. Because between that amount of time I was telling you I was incarcerated, I knew everybody in every juvenile center, in every county jail, in every lockdown unit, in the prison. I knew people. That was my circle. That was my subculture. So when I got back to San Jose, I call it God now, but I'd say I was smart enough to go, I got to get out of here. I can't keep this. What happened? The thing changed here. I can see everybody. My thing popped. You guys still there? Okay, cool. So I knew that I had to change. I had to move out of the neighborhood that I was in. So I went to my parole officer. I said, hey, I need to move. And he's like, what do you mean? I go, I need to get out of this town, man. If I stay here, I'm going to get in trouble. And I don't want to. I want to change my life. So my mother had moved way up north to a little town called Cloverdale, which is kind of in the Santa Rosa area, Sonoma County. I don't know if you guys know where that is. And I said, my mother has a side unit, like a studio side unit. And she said I could move there. And they said, well, you can't just move to any county because you're a parolee. You got to go ask permission. In short, I went over there, asked permission, and the parole officer there said, hey, you can move into my county if you go to college. I'm 25 years old now. I hadn't even graduated high school. I'd been incarcerated all these years, or on the streets. So I just said, okay. And he goes, no, you don't understand. You need to bring me paperwork that you're in college. And I just said, okay, what do I do? I didn't know what to do. Like, where do I go to the college, And he said, there's a Santa Rosa Junior College. Go there and sign up for some classes. So I go there. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm like asking people, how do I get a class? You got to go to administration. What does that mean? Well, it's a building over there where you go. I go in there. I said, I need to sign up for some classes. I thought I could just sign up. I need to sign up for a class. Give me a class. Why you got to take an assessment? I go, okay. So I take an assessment, come back, I don't know, a day later, whatever it was. And they go, you're not ready for college courses. And I go, what do you mean? They go, well, you're not, did you graduate from high school? Like, you're not ready. You're like, you don't have, the capacity, I guess, and I said, okay, so what do? I need to go to school here. And they said, well, we have this little trailer on the side and you can go there and you can get your high school equivalency. Right. And I said, well, if I go there, will that say that I go to school here? And they said, yeah. They said, it's part of the school. And I go, then sign me up. So they signed me up, take the parole office, show them, and they go, okay, you can move into my county. So I'm like, great, move over there. I'm on this plan. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to get out of trouble. They transfer my parole there, the whole thing. And I start going to school. Took me over 2 years to get my high school equivalency. And then I was able to take some college courses. Now, the college courses changed my entire life. Okay. I'm telling you guys this story for two reasons. One, it helps a lot of people. Two, you have a story. And the things that I'm mentioning, I know some of you are going, man, something like that happened to me. I felt that way. I've experienced something like that. And those are the key points. Like if you're taking notes, take notes on what you're remembering about you right now. What you're thinking about you, like, man, that happened to me. And start writing it down because you got to get your story out before you can speak it. You got to understand that you have these experiences before you can speak it. And I'm going to help you learn to speak it. So I start going to college courses. I get my high school equivalency, and then they go, okay, what do you want to do next? And I didn't even know, what do you mean what I do next? I want to take college. And they go, well, do you want to get an AA? Do you want to get a bachelor's degree? Do you want to go all the way to a master's? What do you want to do? And I didn't know what any of that stuff was. And I said, I just want to keep coming to school. So they go, we're just going to put you on general education and you can take these classes. There was a structure. So I said, okay. One of those classes changed the directory of my life. Remember I told you I was 7, it changed the directory of my life. This one, I don't want to say it shifted me back, but it put me on another directory. And it was Psychology 101. Psychology 101 taught the professor, she was a Native American practicing her Native American spirituality, and she was a psychology professor. So she combined, she combined psychology and intertwined her spirituality. And it was life-changing. I mean, it completely changed my life. The book side of it, I'm reading the book one day, and the book Psychology 101 answered those 3 questions that I have. I'll paraphrase. If you experience this as a child, you may act like this. If this happened to you as a child, you may do things like this. If this happened to you as a child, you may feel like this. And there were answers to those 3 questions I'd asked my entire life that I never knew there were answers to. Okay. Going back, I made a decision to change my life. When I got out of prison, I made a decision to move and change my life. At some point, you guys made a decision to change your life. I'm telling you this story, and there's a structure to the story also. I hope you guys see that. You have a structure to your story that people need to hear it. They need to learn lessons from it. You got to get your key points. You got to understand what happened. I'm not sharing this with you as a victim. I'm sharing it with you as a victor. Okay? Understand that. It answered those 3 questions, and it changed my life because I didn't know there were answers to those questions. It also told me something else. This isn't a book that every single college student has to read. It's not just me who feels, acts, and like this. It's people in general. And I thought, man, so many people must suffer with this. It's in a book. And I just thought, I need to learn more about this. The science of the mind. The science of the mind. There's a science of the mind and the body, right? Psychology, biology. There's a science. Oh, it's like somebody's trying to get in here. There's a science of the mind and body. One of my talks is with God as the foundation. Understanding the science of the mind and body will change your life. There's a lot of religion, I believe, this is just my opinion, I believe religion separates, but I believe in God, I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe in what the Bible says, right? But the religion side of it kind of separates people, right? I believe this, I believe that. I don't get into all of that. I just believe that there's a wonderful God who changes our lives and puts us in place and speaks to us. So God is the foundation. Understanding the mind and the body will change your life. And the reason I mentioned that about religion is because there's a lot of religions that don't even want to hear the word science. Right? You say science and they go, oh, that's against the Bible. Like, how's it against the Bible? There's psychology right here. This is psychology. There's neuroscience. It's proven facts. And the body is biology, right? What you eat matters. I don't get into teaching that, but what you eat matters. What I eat on a daily basis, I learned this as I was going through my transitions and I was learning to grow, right? Certain foods make me feel a certain way. You got to pay attention to that. If tomorrow morning you wake up and you're like, man, I don't know why I just feel irritated, or there's something wrong, or you just don't feel right, think about what you ate the night before. And then pay attention the next time you eat that. And you'll start to recognize how food affects your body. And it's different for everybody, right? I'll tell you something super weird about me. For some reason, when I eat chicken, it gives me anxiety. I learned that by accident, testing what I should eat and what I shouldn't eat. Chicken gives me anxiety. If some of you eat a bunch of chicken all the time and you always have anxiety, try not eating it. See what happens. I'm not saying it's going to work for you. It worked for me. So answers to those questions came. I started to understand science, right? I got off of the general education because all I wanted to do was study psychology, neuroscience, all these Einstein theories, anything that helped me understand me. That's really what I was trying to do. I got a bunch of units, ton of units, more than I needed. I should have been able to transfer, but I wasn't structured because I only studied what I wanted to, not what they told me to. Right? They want you to follow a certain structure. And I was like, no, I don't care about that. I want to know about this. I want to know about my mind, my body, my spirit, my soul. So I studied what I wanted to. And then I said, okay, I've learned enough from, the junior college. I spent enough time here. Where can I go to learn the best psychology? Who has the best psychology teachers? And what I learned was Stanford had an amazing psychology unit, if that's what you want to call it. And so I went to Stanford and I called, actually, I think I was online or something. I said, hey, I want to go take classes there. And they said, okay, we'll send in your transcripts. So I sent in all my transcripts and they said, you have plenty of units, but they're not structured. Like you can't just sign up and be a student here. But they said, but you do have enough units where you qualify to be in our psychology courses that are called continuing studies classes, right? So I can go there. I would have to pay for my classes out of my own pocket, but I could not get a degree from Stanford because of the way I was structured. But I didn't care. I said, I don't care. I want to study with the best psychologists in the world. So I started paying out of my pocket, driving 2 hours to go to classes at Stanford, and just continue to grow and learn. Right now, I figured out the science, like I had mentioned, mind and the body. Okay, I understood a lot of things, and I started to go volunteer in juvenile hall, like I mentioned. That was the first thing that came to me. I understand these things. And what came to my heart, God-given, was go help kids understand what you didn't understand when you were young. Help these kids not live the life that you lived. So I started going to juvenile hall and volunteering. And then I started getting a call from God. This is when I got really more into God. And I look back and I had visions and from God. I didn't know they were God, but I would have these weird visions and things of showing me my life and what the life could be. And I didn't know where they were coming from, but those things helped me like see beyond, right? I always tell people, you got to live in the future. You can't live in the past. If you're scared to go do something, if you're scared to share a story, if you're scared to get on a stage, if you're scared to write your book, because you're worried about what people are going to think, you're living in your past. You got to live in your future. You got to go forward. You got to look and go, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to help people. And it doesn't matter what people think about my story. Writing my book, I talk a lot in my book about my mom, about my dad, my siblings, the things that they did. I'm not putting them down. I'm just telling you my story, right? But writing that book in the beginning, I was like, ooh, my aunts, my uncles, people are going to read this book. Should I release this book? Is everybody going to hate me? I didn't know what to go on, I never had one problem after I wrote my book. And if I would have allowed, 2 or 3 people to stop me from writing that book, I wouldn't have been able to help the thousands and thousands of people that I've been helping with that story, with that book. So you got to not worry, right? You got to not worry about who's going to hear your story. You got to worry about how many people you can get your story out there to and be able to monetize your story. Okay. I'm going to teach you how to monetize your story. So, when I started to get the call from God, I got to shorten this up a little bit. What time is it? I started going to church. I met an amazing pastor, and he taught me, or he told me 2 things. he saw how broken I was. This guy was, God spoke through him to me, and he's come and hugged me, right? Because like I said, I told you my past, I grew up broken at the age of 7, incarcerated, juvenile hall, all these things, all these years. So I still had this like tough persona, right? I wasn't a friendly, loving, hugging type guy, but I was learning, right? I was understanding things. And this pastor saw right through me, and he would walk through the crowd. He'd come up to me, and he'd hug me, right? And without my father, my whole life, I never had a man who paid any attention to me, right? That's part of what I was seeking, was love and just confidence and guidance from a man. And he would come in and he'd hug me, and it was so uncomfortable. And I'd be like, but I would let him, and he would hug me, and he'd just hold on. I'd be trying to get away, and he'd hold on. And he said, Raul, I love you, man. For a man to tell me that he loved me after my father disappeared on me, it was powerful, life-changing. You can change people's lives with as much as smiling at them, giving them a hug, telling them you love them. God is love. We are all, love is the purpose, okay? But he told me 2 things. He said, Raul, keep coming back to church and learn to soak in prayer. Quiet your mind and soak in prayer. You heard in the video in the beginning, I said, I didn't even know you could quiet your mind. I didn't know that I can control what I think when I think it. Do you know that? That you don't have to think the thoughts that come into your mind? You can't stop them, but you can't stop them from coming in, but you can stop yourself from thinking, right? As easy as picturing a red stop sign and going, stop. I'm not going to think that. I'm going to choose my thought. I'm going to think about the kids that I love, my grandchildren that I love. The time I went to Disneyland, it was so amazing. The favorite song that I have, you can instantly change your state by thinking about something you love. I teach this when I work with people that have like depression and things, right? You can change the way you think if you understand what's happening. I didn't know I can control my mind. My mind would just do this all the time. And it was always negative, right? It would go like this until I fall asleep, and it would go like this as soon as I woke up. And it would usually be something negative. Like, what did I do yesterday? What didn't I do yesterday? What do I need to do today? What am I going to screw up today? Just the way that I thought, the stories I should tell myself drove me crazy. When I learned I could quiet my mind and control what I thought, it was life-changing. So I learned to pray and meditate, right? I always tell people, when you're praying, you're talking to God. When you're meditating, you're listening, because you're quieting your mind and you could listen. And God speaks to us every single day. Learn to quiet your mind, soak in prayer, meditate. Miraculous, life-changing, right? I talked to you about the science, mind and body. And then I told you about the spirit side came in. I had a vision. Like, I'm not here in person with you guys, but I am here in person. And like, I'm standing here, I was pulled into a vision per se, right? I told you guys about what I do, what I feel, what I act. I didn't mention that I had a block my entire life, because there were times that I knew, and I had those questions, why do I do these things that I do? And I would try to figure them out. But there was this block, and I remember, like, it was like a wall. I could see it. I could see this brick wall, and it was just like this block. I would just run into it. Anytime I tried to improve myself, anytime I tried to change my life, I would just hit this wall. I had no idea what to do. Me personally, I worked with therapists and psychologists and all kinds of stuff for myself throughout these years. Also, as I'm studying, I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to get better. And this wall was just, interestingly, would get smaller and smaller. And I remember there was a point where I could see over the wall. And I worked with a world-renowned psychotherapist. Her name is her name is Chloe Madonis. She's part of Tony Robbins' program. And so I got to work with her, and she was asking, I was telling her about this wall. And she said, what's on the other side of the wall? And I said, I can see over the wall. And I said, I see a beautiful field, trees, colorful sky. She goes, but what is over there? And I said, freedom. I don't know where it came from, but I remember saying freedom. I sense freedom. She goes, what do you mean? I go, I don't know. You ask me, I see, I look, and I sense freedom. And I didn't even know what it meant, but that's what I sensed. So this one day I'm meditating, and the next thing I know, I'm standing in this field, and the wall is gone. And I'm like, wow, the wall is gone. Am I free? And I tried to walk in the field, and I was stuck. I couldn't move my feet. And I looked over, and I saw this little boy, age 7, and it was me at the age of 7. And I looked, and I said, you're my wall? You've been holding me here for all of these years. Like, what is wrong? What is wrong with you? And this little boy looked at me, looked up at me, and said, I'm not holding you here. You're holding me here. And this wave of energy just came. And my entire life passed, and I saw everything. I saw everything that happened to me for all of those years. From that day I was 7 years old when we left my father, to everything that I'd done, good, bad, and ugly, to that second I saw my entire life. And I realized that that day I told you that my heart hardened when I was 7, that I created that alter ego. And that alter ego stepped in front of him and said, he's never going to cry again, and I'm not going to let anybody. He's never going to cry. No one's ever going to make fun of him. And this alter ego was that boy, that man who fought in rage. You looked at me, that little guy, for a second. No, you ain't laughing at him. You ain't crying. He ain't going to cry for you. And I would fight with rage. And that's why I was so full of this rage. It was an alter ego that was putting him behind and fighting for him the wrong way for all those years. Prison, juvenile hall, alcohol, all these things that was going on. I realized that, and I started to apologize to him. And I knelt down and I started to hug him. And these words were coming out. I love you. I'm sorry. You are light. You are joy. You are happiness. You are the light of the world. And I don't even know where these words were coming from. I'm just pouring into him, apologizing him, telling him that I love him, trying to release him. Because now I understood what happened, right? And I didn't mention this, but my father died at a very young age. He died at the age of 47. This was probably 10 years before this happened to me. 47, very young because of his lifestyle. And I'm hugging me as an adult, hugging myself at 7. I'm pouring into myself, apologizing, telling myself I love you. You are the light, you are the joy. And then I started to call him son. And it's just happening, right? I'm calling him son. I love you, son. You're the light, son. You're the light of the world, son. Your happiness, your joy. And I thought to myself as I'm going through, I go, this is not my son, this is me. But everything shifted. And I felt my father, who had passed years before, hugging me from behind. So it's myself at 7, it's me hugging me, and then my father hugging both of us. And he's saying, I love you, son. I'm sorry, son. You are the light, you are the joy. And he's apologizing to me as I'm apologizing to myself for everything that we'd been through, that we put ourselves through. Because I'm sure as he passed, he understood his life. He had his own issues, his own challenges. I don't put anything against him. We do what we know. After that shifted, we all 3 stood there. My father was standing right here. I'm here. Myself as a child is right here. And God spoke to all 3 of us. And he was saying, you are the light of the world. You are joy. You are happiness. And this wave of energy just came. And I understood. Life didn't happen. All those things didn't happen to me. They happened for me to do what I'm doing right now, to teach and share, and to inspire other people to teach and share. If half of you that are on this webinar right now go out and share your story, if I can show you how to share your story and you start reaching hundreds and thousands of people, the ripple effect of that is amazing. Everybody here has a story. Everybody here has a different story. Everybody here has different wisdom, not common knowledge, different wisdom that needs to be heard. The little boy came and somehow he landed in my hand. He's standing in my hand, this little boy. And I was prompted to put him into my heart. And I just went like this. Heal the boy and the man will appear. I put him into my heart softened. And that was the first time I'd realized it had hardened back then at the age of 7. I'm never going to cry again. No one's ever going to laugh at me again. My heart hardened. So when I put him, it was a release and my heart softened. And the next thing I know, he's walking in front of me and he's the freedom. He was the one saying, freedom, let me go. And he started to walk into that field. And he stopped and he hesitated and he turned around and he looked at me. And I started to say, no, man, you can go, you're free. But then I also realized that's me. I'm still hesitating. I'm unsure of what's happening. And I said, no, we're free. And I said, go. And like I said, I realized life happened for me, not to me. And God mentioned, he said, the burden that I mentioned. Everything you've survived is wisdom. Everything you've survived is because of me, him. From a loving 7 years to 10 years of just hell, to college, to Stanford, to spiritual change, everything. It's not a common life. It's not a common life. People don't make it. I did, and I can't waste it. He said, you better go. You're going to go and you're going to change people's lives. I started volunteering in juvenile hall, like I mentioned, churches, prisons, everything that I could. And it turned into a business because other people said, I want to share my story. And I said, okay, I'll show you how to share your story. And I started teaching people how to share their story. So now I take people and I help them put their primary message together, 15, 20-minute story. primary message. And that's specifically to help people change their lives. That's what it's about. Help people change their lives. And then guess what? Like I said, we put that story in a book. And then what? And then people want more of what you have. So then we expand that story into an hour, 90 minutes, and you chunk in the type of coaching that you want to learn. And I don't care, like I said, if you're selling real estate, people need help in everything they're doing. You ever get anybody in real estate and people are so scared they don't know what to buy a house, they're not sure they're up to do anxiety? You can coach them through that. Trying to sell insurance, whatever you're doing, just changing people's lives, coaching, life coaching, right? Whatever you're doing. I'm teaching people how to share from stage, but the purpose is to help people change their lives. So I always say, I'm going to sell you what you want. I'm going to help you put your story together, but I'm going to give you what you need, because guess what? People who have never shared their story, as I'm teaching them, things come up that they hadn't even thought about. So I got to live coach them through that. I got to coach them through that. So it's part of this big package and things that we offer. I used to do a lot of one-on-one coaching. But now this year, I've been putting together these events, the San Diego event that a lot of you guys saw the emails for. I do online summits and I bring in celebrities. I bring in a lot of different celebrities. In fact, let me go back and share my screen real quick. I want to show you some of the people that we brought into our events. Let's go down here to the bottom. So Les Brown, we've had last year and we have him this year. Forbes Riley, we brought in Tom Bilyeu. We brought in Kevin Harrington from the Shark Tank. Krista Mayshore, she makes multi-millions monthly doing her coaching business. She's a great real estate coach. Alex Mendoza was one of the top, CEOs online marketing. He was like one of the first in the beginning. Brian Navabi, he has a powerful story. I love this guy. He's come and spoke at our events. He was selling T-shirts out of his backseat of his car that he would print his company on, sell them on the backseat of his car. He was broke, lost everything he had kids, a wife. Now he has a multi-million-dollar clothing company. It's a fitness company. He does really well. It's called Till You Collapse. If you're ever looking for fitness clothes, Till You Collapse. Kane Minkus, he was one of my mentors. He teaches business growth. But we bring in these different people to build the credibility, to build the authority, and to help teach and train, right? We're doing some events with Les Brown around speaking. I'm going to go back to the top here. These are some of the trainers, right? Me, we've got Dr. Marfe Mendez coming in. Brandon Heinz is one of our core teachers that we're going to be teaching at these 3-day event about how to put your story together, how to put your coaching packages together, how to market yourself, how to be found and how to be seen, and how to do exactly what I'm doing here with you guys today, right? How to get on a webinar like this and get people to attend and teach and train and give them, share your passion. That's what it's about, is sharing my passion, right? I'm not here just to sell you something. I'm here to teach you and train you and show you how important it is and that you have a message. People don't realize they have a message, right? Angelina, she's amazing. She has a program called Pain into Purpose. And it's very similar to what I do. Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear. But she shows you where your pain's at and helps you heal through your pain. And then she turns your pain into a purpose, which is what we're talking about here, taking your wisdom and sharing it. So we got a bunch of cool people that come in, and then we have you, right? We have room and space for you that we add our speakers to this website, and we promote you and we teach you and we train you, and we promote you as the author, speaker, and the coach that you are, or whatever it is industry that you're in. Like I showed you Krista Mayshore a little while ago. She's a real estate coach, right? So she came out to one of the events and just taught a bunch of cool stuff. This event is in San Diego in 33 days, right? Some of you guys are in San Diego. I'd love for you to come. And there's 3 ways for you to attend, okay? And don't forget, I know some of you guys saw that email. I'm going to tell you, I got amazing speakers and sponsors for this event, right? From one of these webinars. That's what I want you to understand, right? A webinar like this, a training, a quick Zoom, a 1-hour Zoom, you never know who's listening. And when somebody sees your passion, hears your story and your message, they want to help you get it out there, right? There are people out there who are financially abundant, but they don't teach, they don't talk, they don't want to do those things, but they want to help you get your message out there, and they'll start to fund you and things like that. There's money that comes in a lot of different ways when you're doing God's work, when you're sharing your wisdom and doing God's work. Okay. So somebody was on one of my webinars last month, and they said, I want to help you. What can I do? And they introduced me to a few people, right, who bought a couple of our products. I have high ticket products. It starts from $2,500 all the way up to $25,000. Brought in a few people who he told needed to work with me. I got a few new clients just in 1 month. We did very well last year on a webinar like this. Last month on a webinar just like this. And he also said the $1,000 I was talking about. He said the next, because I have room for 5 more people, VIP speakers, and he said the next 5 people who join, I'm going to pay $1,000 of their package. And I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. And I said, okay. So I made a discount link and the whole thing. But here's how it works. Okay. There's 3 ways to attend this event. And here they are, bottom line. Okay. General admission just to come to the event for 3 days and learn author, speaker, coaching, putting your coaching package together. We're going to do full training for 3 days in beautiful downtown San Diego. It's only $47 and you get to bring somebody with you. So just to attend the event, it's $47. You know what I need to do? I need to put this, I'm going to put this link in the chat so you guys can think about registering if you want to just come to the event here. Let me see here. Paste. So if you want to just attend the event and bring somebody with you, it's only $47. So what is that? $23 a person, $23.50 a person for 3 full days of training. If you can only make one day, make sure you make the first day. The first day is the primary hardcore training. The second and the third day, there's also training, but that's where a lot of our speakers, our speakers are coming in. We're going to videotape and record them and things like that. Okay. So attend this event, learn to share your story, learn how to monetize your story, learn how to put coaching packages together. We're going to put them together while we're there, and become that coach that you want to be. Become that person that's going to share their wisdom, who like you want to. I know you do. The other thing is we have a guest speaker spot. Okay, the guest speaker spot gets 7 minutes on stage. The 3-day training, how to become an author in 2 weeks. We show you we have an author program where you get your book done just like that. We help you. Nowadays, it's very simple to get your story out there. You don't even have to write it. You could just speak it, and we'll get it, and we'll get it and edit it for you. How to create an irresistible offer. How to fully automate your coaching business, and then you get to bring 2 friends. Right. So your friends don't get to speak if you come in as a guest speaker, but they get to come and attend the event. So you can bring a couple people with you. Now, let me tell you this. I don't charge people for speaking. Okay. That's not what this is. Like I said, it's not a pay to play. I don't charge people for speaking. I invite guest speakers and they don't show up. Right. Once I invite a guest speaker, I put them on the time slots and then they don't show up. It hurts the event. Okay. Last event, when I didn't charge $0, like hold your spot kind of fee, people didn't show up. 3 or 4 at a time wouldn't show up. And I think it was because they really wanted to speak, but they're scared, right? A lot of people are scared to speak on stage. They're scared. They're worried that, and they say speaking is one of the scariest things there is to do in the world. People say they'd rather be in the casket than give the eulogy. And that's an old saying, but it's true. People are scared to speak, so they wouldn't show up. Last event, I said, you know what? I'm going to charge a $97 hold your spot fee. People still didn't show up. $97. They're not, the fear is stronger than the $97. This time I said $297. We got people joining at $297. They're non-refundable. Okay. Guess what? 2 people that registered for guest speaker last month have already given me excuses. I hate to say it, but they're excuses as to why they can't come. And because they did a held their spot, I will give them the next event, but it's a non-refundable $297. So hold your spot. It's not a pay to speak. I don't do that. You do get 7 minutes on stage. You're allowed to bring these 2 people with you who can record you with their phones, take pictures of you so you can show and start to promote yourself as a speaker. And you get to work with me a couple of, I think we do 2 calls, and I help you put your story together. If you already have one, I listen to it, and I just help you kind of mold it to the 7 minutes and for this event. So it's a great thing. And then we have the VIP spot, and this is where that $1,000 comes in. Okay, you're not going to pay what you see there. That's just what the fee is. Again, it's not a fee to speak. It's the fact that we give you a professional video. We take and you get a 15 to 20 minute talk as a VIP speaker. You get all the 3 days of training. We give you a video, a professionally edited video, and we put it on our YouTube channel. And we send you the raw footage. We take professional pictures of you for 2 days. We put you on stage 2 days in a row. The first day, it's very quick, maybe 60 seconds. You do a quick, motivational shot. We take pictures of you dressed one way. And then the second day, we do your whole video. So you get professional video. You need a professional video. If you're going to be a speaker, you need a professional video. Okay. I'm sure if you're out there looking to get gigs right now, people always say, well, send me a video of what you got. A webinar doesn't count as speaking on stage. Podcast, it might be the best podcast in the world, but it doesn't count as you speaking on stage. I've learned that for myself. It's different being right here and being on stage. So you get the professional video. You get a tag certification as a speaker. You get our 1-year client only Facebook group. Okay, we have a Facebook group, it's clients only. I think there's 60 or 70 guys in there, people in there right now. And we have 4 coaches that are in their weekly training, helping you grow your business, helping you, teaching you how to market, teaching you more about speaking, teaching you everything you need to know to grow your business. You get 1 year, 1 full year in that group. Okay. I already mentioned pictures of you, graphics on the screen while you're speaking. You get graphics behind you of you, a picture and your name. You get to have a booth there. So if you are offering a product, if you already have a book, then you get to have a booth at the event as a VIP speaker. Let's see. We put your headshots and your bio on this page, and we create graphics for you to promote yourself as speaking at this event. What else we got here? How to become okay, that's the training. create an irresistible offer, automate your business, guaranteed 2 speaking gigs. This is one, and then we give you the online summit where you co-speak online with Les Brown. I get this says up to 15 minutes on stage, but that's not true. You get up to 20. 2 one-on-one meetings with me. I help you put your talk together. Video of your speech. I already said that. You get the raw footage, and we put you on our YouTube channel. So you get everything so that you can market yourself also. If you have a 15-20 minute video, you can chop that up as much as you want and use it. A video is priceless. It really is. It's priceless, right? Professional pictures of you on stage, featured on our event landing page. And then you get to bring 3 friends. And what I do with a lot of our speakers is that you see here, these are our banners that we put up. And I have a lot more. We put them all up at the events. And we promote our speakers, right? These are all the different speakers that have worked with us over the years. I got a bunch of these, and we take some of your professional pictures. And as we create new banners, our VIP guests get promoted at the events on these things for life, because these things are at all of our events. So like I had mentioned, I'm not charging anybody to speak. We just give so much. For the guest speaker, we got to make sure that you show up, okay? For the VIP certification, you're getting the videos, right? You're getting, I mean, the cost of this, basically what you're getting for all of this, this is just the cost that it costs me to do all that together, okay? Now, like I told you, I got a sponsor for 5 people. I got 5 VIP spots left. So it's going to take $1,000 off that. So for $2,500, you can come and join us as a VIP, and you're still going to get everything that you see right there. Let me switch this over. This is how it looks. Hopefully you guys can see this. I just switched over, right? So I'm going to put this link in there. You can see it cuts it off. It takes out $997, $1,000, and it takes your thing down to $2,500. 5 people. This link will only work for 5 people. So the first 5 people who get it, whether they all do it right now, this minute, or by tomorrow, after 5 people, this link is not going to work anymore. It's set up that way. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it in this chat for any of those who are ready to go and join us right now. Okay. Oops. Let me see here. This is for everyone. Boom, boom. Paste. There's the link. Okay. That link is not on this website. The link is not on this website. I put the link to this website in the chat already. So if you want to come as just a general admission, come. You're going to have a great 3 days. You're going to meet amazing people who have the same goals as you do, the same mind and the same goals as you do, and want to change people's lives. You can see right here the recommended hotel. It's already on this landing page. This is the location. When you register for any one of these tickets, you're going to get an email with all of the details, and a lot of this stuff is going to tell you exactly where to go, what to do, how to do it. And it's going to have my calendar on it so that we can set up our calls. Okay. If you click on this website right now, to this register, it's going to charge you $34.97. Okay. That second link I just put there, that's the one. That's the link that that's the only one that'll give you that $1,000 off. Okay. $2,500 for all of these things, 3 days of training. You get to speak on stage, you get the video, everything that you mentioned right here, that I mentioned right here. It's an amazing program. You're getting it for less than cost. And we have 5 spots for you to come and join us. Okay. Let me close this so I can see you guys. I want to see everybody here. I'd love now to see if you guys have any questions. If you guys have any questions, pop them in the chat and I will answer them for you right now. Let's see. Raul, need to run. Thank you. Nigeria. In Nigeria, you can possibly get into our online summit, right? That's something that you can do. You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to put in my email address, RJ. This is my personal email address. And I do this sometimes, and I probably shouldn't, because then all of a sudden I get bombarded. This is like, oops, that's not it. That's not it. This is my personal direct email address. If you want to set up a call for more details, email me there. Okay. If you know you want to share a story, if you know it's your time, if you're inspired and you know you have a personal story that needs to get out there, take advantage of the $1,000 off. So for only $2,500, you get all of that. You get all of that. It's a no-brainer. Really, it is. It's an irresistible offer. If you want to share your story, you want to have the videos of your talk, the pictures of your talk. If you have something you want to offer, from a booth at the events and all that. If you want to speak at a online summit with Les Brown, all of that is included for that small fee. Now, come for the 3 days. I'd love for you to be there. You don't have to just get the $47 ticket and bring a friend. Come and speak for 7 minutes just to get practice. A lot of the people who do the guest speaker, they're practicing. We give them feedback and we help them put their talk together while they're there. And then VIPs are ready to rock. They want to roll. They want to get their message out there. We help them put their talks together. If you already have a talk, we get you the video of your talk. We get you everything that we talked about. So let's see if you have any questions. I'm actually going to unmute because let's see. Thank you. Information once again, please send The write-up I shared with you in March. All right. Ooh, I hope I have it. And I do remember you asking me for that. Yeah, it's I get so many emails, you gotta understand. Okay, so let me unmute everybody, and if anybody has a question, you can just ask. Let me see how to unmute. Mute, unmute, ask to unmute. Okay, so what I just did was I allowed you guys to unmute yourself. So if you want to unmute yourself, you can. If you have a question, I'll answer it for you right now. Or you can
Yes, I
type,
have.
yes.
Yeah, my name is Tom Kesdro from Nigeria.
Uh-huh.
Yes, my question is this. I saw the email you sent to me.
Mhm,
Saying if I would like to be a guest in your show.
mhm.
That was why I decided to make every effort to be here.
Okay.
Now, I'm a voice coach. I train people on the voice,
Mhm.
and I'm a principal of a school.
Okay.
And I have a personal story that I think I want to show the world, and I felt this is the platform for me to do it. But the thing is, moving from Nigeria to any part of the world, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So I think I have personal challenges that I think has to be addressed, not even yet, maybe on the private chat.
Yeah.
But I really want to be a part of this. Seriously want to be a part of it.
Okay, so we can do, I believe you got an email and we went back and forth on the email. I did put my email there. What I would suggest is that you email me and I'll tell you about some of our online opportunities, right? That way you can be from there. Now, we do have people flying in from all over the place. At the last event we just did 2 months ago, we had people from Colombia, we had people from the UK, we had people from Germany, we had people from Canada. People flew in from all over the place. Our average event usually has about 100 people there, and people come in from all over. So if it's hard to get here, I understand to come from another country, but there are opportunities that we can serve you online and help you get your message out there online. Okay,
It's okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions? What do we have here?
Yeah, I got a question.
All right, go ahead, Benjamin.
I texted it also. I want to know, can you pay for the VIP in installments? I'd really like to participate. I think I'll probably have that amount of money by the time of the event with investments in my startup business, but I don't have it at this particular moment.
Okay, I think I might have a link. The link that I made today with the $1,000 off, that's the main one at that price point. I do have a 2 payment option, but it's going to take it back to 3,500. Do this for me. Email me, and I'm trying to think from last event if I have a link, or I could create one. If you're ready to go, I do have a link for 2 payments, but it turns out to be 2,600 because there's a payment option. So could you do 2 payments of 13?
You're
We can
saying
talk
right
about it
now.
after if you'd like. If you'd like, we can talk
Sounds
about
good.
it after. Email me.
Yeah,
Email me.
I'll email you.
Okay, email me and we'll talk about that link. All right, we'll
It'd
make
be
sure
great for my business.
we'll
Yeah,
make sure that
thank
we
you.
help you. We'll make sure that we help you get
Okay.
up. All right. Any other
Thank you.
questions? Thank you, Benjamin. Anybody else? All right. Well, thanks for hanging in. Brian, Jeffrey, Torino, you got any questions? Anybody else have any questions? If you want, I put my email there. Both links are there. Register right now, take advantage of that discount. Or send me an email if you want to talk one-on-one, and we can talk more about it if you need some more details. All right. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for staying for the whole talk. I appreciate it, man. I know you guys got a message. I hope you got something from this, whether you join us or not. I hope you got something from this and you're inspired to get out there and share people and change their lives. Okay. Love you all. Enjoy the day. Bye-bye. Thank you.